So what I want to talk about today is a lot of it is really common sense, and I don't come with any expertise. I'm not some kind of expert. What I have done is I've done this 3 times, and you can learn from my experiences and my mistakes, and so that's what I'm going to do. And I think all of you have, I'm not sure about Jack, but all of you have had classes on Zoom, so you're familiar with what I'm going to be doing when I share a screen, right? So that's one of the nice things you can do with Zoom that you can't do with Facebook, is that you can actually shift over to sharing a screen, which is helpful. Okay, so to start off, I want to ask, you all have church websites, right? I know you do, right? We have another Kilroy. Hey, Kate. I can only see the top
Hi.
of your face.
Okay, hold on.
There you go.
Okay.
And I'm going to be talking a lot about what we look like when we do this. I'm sure you weren't expecting me to talk about that, but actually I'm going to be talking about that quite a lot. So you've all got church websites. How many of you got, I don't want to make assumptions here, have all your churches got Facebook pages? All of you? Martha, I know both of your churches have. Martha's an intern at St. Luke's with me, so I know both of her churches do. Kevin, I know yours does. I'm pointing because you're there on the screen. All right, so one of the things about communicating in this way is that it can feel distant. And what we need to do is to try and make it, 1, look as much like worship as possible, and 2, to try and make it as personal as possible. So you saw me, even though this is a Zoom class, I already was talking and referring to people. I talked about Kevin and Kate and Martha and Jack, and you all felt like I wasn't just broadcasting to you, I was speaking to you personally. And that's one of the things I learned with doing the Facebook live broadcast, is when you are broadcasting, and I'll get into the technical stuff in a bit, people are commenting. And they do little hearts and likes and things, and you see them floating up. You must have seen those. But they also comment. And what I try and do is when people come on, and I'm doing a service, even not so much in the middle, but at the very beginning, I'll say, "Oh, hi, Jack," or "Hi, Linda," so that they know that I know that they're there. There's a kind of personal connection. So that's one of the kind of hints about making it more personal and more like community than just sitting there and reading. So you make it more human. And what I'm going to do tomorrow is at the end of it, and Martha and I are sharing that because Martha is, of course, working with St. Luke's, and she's also preaching tomorrow. So I think this may be your first Facebook Live sermon. Yes, indeed. And no pressure, but it's going to be preserved for posterity on the St. Luke's Facebook page. So don't let that stress you. So at the end of it, I'm going to ask people if they have any questions. Now here, obviously you can speak verbally, but there people can ask questions, and we can have a chat about how does it feel not to be having a service for 3 weeks, because in our case it is 3 weeks. What are you missing? What do you need? And try and make it more human and interactive. So a couple of people said to me, why don't you just film it and then make it available for people to download or to watch afterwards? But I like that interaction. It makes it more like ministry. So let's talk about the process of doing a Facebook live service. So what I've done is I've slightly simplified the morning prayer service, because for my particular group of people, morning prayer, normally you have the readings and you have canticles in between, but I'm being aware that these aren't all Episcopalians, because as I said, my first broadcast I had 451 different viewings, and a lot of those weren't Episcopalians. So the change that I made was, obviously I chose the different sentences and collects and things that I put into the service and made that static. But I also took the liberty of removing the collects between the readings so that it went straight, not the collects, I mean the things, canticles, thank you, between each reading, so that there was a kind of a flow, simply to make it easier for people who aren't familiar with the Episcopal tradition of morning prayer. So before you even start, you have to let people know that you're doing this. I mean, that seems obvious, but you do it in several different ways. So if you have a look, and I'm going to share my screen now. Okay. So if you have a look at our Facebook page for St. Luke's, and by the way, your videos live up there. So after you've done them, you can see that was 2 winters and 1 heat wave. I have made an event. So there's 3 different Sundays, and I've made an event there. And I don't like that picture. So I'm actually, after I've done this, I'm going to replace it and put something that, you know, with a cup of coffee and a Bible and a computer, and make it look a little bit friendlier. So I've made an event so people know it's happening. And I also made a statement about the fact that we were not going to be having services in future until the end of March. So that I've put that out there. Obviously, I've done all the other stuff, like send out 2 different emails. And because people don't read their emails, I've sent out texts as well. So I've let people know. And I also shared it on my own Facebook page, in case people haven't gone to look. I'm trying to cover all the bases. So if they haven't gone to look at the Facebook Live, the Facebook page for St. Luke's, they will have picked that up there as well. Then that's the first step. So you've let them know that this is happening. You've texted them, you've emailed them, you've made an event. Do you all know how to create an event on Facebook? Kate?
That was what I was just going to ask. Is it clear on Facebook how to create an event?
Well, let's do that. Okay, so if you go to the top of your Facebook page, now it might look slightly different depending on how it's been set up for you. Our Facebook page was set up years before I arrived, and it's not set up, I think it was set up before they created the possibility of creating a business page or an organization page on Facebook. So we are, I don't know, somewhere between a personal page and a business page. And so you might find, if you are doing this on your own parish website, Facebook page, sorry, it's been a very long day, not Englishing very well, you have to be very patient with me. But you will see here that you've got a handful of options. This is what it looks like on mine. You may find that there is an option on yours that says publish, and these options will be available under that. So just mess around with it a little bit. It really is very simple. So we're going to talk about this one just now, but we're going to create an event. So I've just clicked on that and up it comes. So very simple. We're going to say, Kate, I can't type either, Harrigan's Movie Fiesta. And then here I've already set it up so that I have my geographical location set up here. So if somebody, and that's not going to help me much with a Facebook Live broadcast, but if they're coming for a, you know, picnic or an event or a movie or something, they come to that. Here I'm going to say a screening of the movie Camelot, starring our own beloved Kate. Right, and then I'm going to choose a category. Now, obviously, well, we could choose art, but because we're going to do an exegesis of this movie as religion, so we're going to choose religion, right? And your Facebook Live thing would be religion. Here's where you choose how many times it happens. This is where I set it up for 3 separate events. So I did it weekly, and I've got it on Sunday, right? And I'm going to set it up for Sunday, March the 15th, and it's going to end by, and I click on that to change the dates. So I'm going to end it on that date and the time. And you've got to be careful with this, because if you're not looking carefully, I once cheerfully set something in the evening instead of in the morning. So learn from my mistakes, and let's just say it's going to finish at about 9:30, and I've got the dates here which are not right. So, oh, that's because I did April the 29th, you see? Right, so I have 3 events on 3 dates, right? And then all you do is publish it. If you're not sure yet, you can save it as a draft, which I've just done. Oh, and I missed something for you. Yes, David, my meeting is on. David Rutledge wants to join us. So Katie Carrigan's Movie Fiesta, it's a draft. Can you see it's not visible to anyone until it's published? But now I want to edit it, right? And I want to change this. See, I'm going to change the cover picture, and I'm going to choose from photos. So maybe I want to do, I'll do that one. And you can adjust it slightly and save your changes. Does that seem logical? Kate?
Okay, so while you're doing that, I'm also looking on my own page.
Yes.
Paul's page. At the bottom, it doesn't say publish, it says create. Is that the same?
Are you able to share your screen with me? And let me unshare mine, because I think that might make it fall over.
There.
Hold on. If I unshare it now that you've all disappeared off into here. And, oh, here we are. Stop share. Right.
So I am sharing my screen. Did it share?
Yes.
So can you see?
Oh, that's interesting.
It was pretty much the same as you were talking about through event name, location, description.
Yes.
There was another piece that wasn't there. Occurs, schedule, co-host, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something,
then,
by the way, before we get to create, that's important. You may not want, because your Facebook page is public, you may not want everybody to be able to post on there. So you may want to say only hosts can post there. So yours says create. That's interesting. Now mine says I can save a draft and then I can publish it. Maybe yours is just different, and I don't know enough about why it would be different. But I mean, if you've got all your facts right, then just create it.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think what she's showing us is actually a page, a Facebook page, which is different than the format for the St. Luke's Facebook presence, but it's the same function. You just, you'll be creating the event, and instead of hitting publish, you would hit create.
Yes.
Once it's
okay. And it's really not my Facebook page. It is St.
Paul's one.
It's St. Paul. That's what I meant. It's a page for your church, and I really like at the bottom where you have the option of inviting all members. So anyone who has liked your Facebook page, I presume, would get the invitation.
Good.
Yeah, I guess so. This may be what I was talking about when we say, I said that ours is not set up as a business and yours is. Martha, you have a business Facebook
I have a business
page,
Facebook page, and so the event creation, it looks just like this. That's exactly right.
So that's the difference.
Right.
Okay, but it's the same principle, so thank you.
Yeah, it's the exact same function. And you know, you can add a co-host if you want to, but you know, Ingrid makes a very good point. You only want the host to post. Otherwise, you're going to have all sorts of different things come in.
Mine offers me the option that people can comment with the admin's approval. So people can comment and it'll pop up for me. I can give approval and then it will appear, and they can message me if they want to on Messenger.
That's exactly what mine says. Yes. Oh, sorry.
Okay. So does that seem fairly logical? It's honestly, it's not difficult. I just figured it out by messing around until I got it right.
And then that will appear, of course, on your Facebook page, and that's
Yes.
and then you can send also that link out by email to people who may
Yes.
or may not be on Facebook.
Yeah. And you can share it to your own personal page.
Right.
And there's a question is, if people are not on Facebook, how do they access this?
That's the problem.
That's the
Okay.
limitation.
They have to be on Facebook. So now that's where we're talking about the limits of all of this, is that in my particular congregation, almost all of them, with the exception of about 3, are on Facebook, some more often than others. I email them and tell them, and I've just texted them all, it's just been a busy day, to let them know this is happening and to give them a link and tell them where to go, so that they've got this message from different places. And in my email, I said, if you know of somebody who you could invite to come and be with you to attend the service, please invite them. So I'm trying to cover all my bases. There are alternatives. One alternative is Zoom. Now Zoom, God was with me, because I finally managed to get my vestry to approve our getting Zoom. I mean, it's a whole $14 a month, but
Yeah,
it's new territory, right? So we got that funded, and we've got Zoom, and then I'm finding that there's a lag in people adopting that technology. That it's new, it's different, and they know Facebook, so they're more comfortable to go to Facebook than to be using Zoom. I expect, particularly at this time, that that's going to change. We're going to do prayer meetings and book clubs and stuff through Zoom. So I think that is going to change. There are some people, the 2 or 3 in my congregation, who don't have email, don't have cell phones, and will never do this. And there's not much I can do about that. The other options, you've got Facebook Live, you've got Zoom, you've also got YouTube. Now, I created a personal St. Luke's private YouTube channel. So you can make it so that you send people the link and they can go to your YouTube channel, but it's not visible publicly. That is particularly useful if you have filmed things like an annual meeting or Shaped by Faith meeting or something, and people need to be able to see that, but it's not public. Again, you've got no interaction because you filmed it. Well, you can do it live, but people can't interact as easily on YouTube. The comments aren't as easy to see. So that is an option. You may want, well, if you do a Facebook Live service, it stays on your Facebook page forever, unless you really hated it and then you can delete it. But it stays there. For me, and my senior warden said this, it's evangelism, because people will come back afterwards and watch it and engage with it. And I'm getting comments a year, 2 years later on something that happened in the service, or people who've left the parish and go, oh gosh, it was so nice to hear you. I have one woman who is in chemo, can never come, and she gets so excited when we do a Facebook Live service because she's now included. So, okay, are there questions at this point before we talk about some basic principles?
If you are doing a Facebook Live, I mean, I can imagine sitting here and doing morning prayer for the next couple of weeks, you know, sort of stationary. And if I were to continue this with my Sunday service, doing Facebook Live, I assume that requires someone with a camera or an iPad in the service to be following that.
True. So let me tell you what we're doing, and we have this equipment donated. We have a reasonable, it's not top of the range, it's certainly not one of those sort of big church live stream equipment setups, but we have what I'm using now, which is a live stream camera made by Logitech, and it's kind of $99, and it's used, I chose it because Penn State uses it for all of its webinars and things, or meetings. So it didn't break the bank. So what we're doing is we are putting it in the church on the wall. We're going to mount it on the church, in the church on the wall, so that you will get the pulpit and the lectern, and you can still see the altar in the background. Now, if you had several cameras, you could cut between them, and there's software for that. That's not in our budget, okay? We're a small family church. We're doing this on a budget, and we're being sensible. It's good enough to be able to pick up the sound, but as we discovered when we did Stevenson School webinars, that this little camera did not pick up the sound of everybody talking in a big seminar room, but we've got speakers in the church, so it would pick up the sound. So it's fixed, it's in a place. We're going to have Wi-Fi. Now that's an important thing I'm going to come back to, is your signal. Very, very, very important. I learned that the hard way. And then if you are running cables, you're going to have long cables rather than using Wi-Fi. And you're going to have a repeater that extends the signal down the cable. We can talk about all of that if you want to. And then you're going to have a laptop. That's if you're using this camera. And then somebody can then be watching that and responding to questions if they come up during the service. And that's how we're going to be doing it. We're going to have a laptop and a camera and a cable between them, an extended cable between the two of them. You can do it with a phone. If you do it with a phone, it's got to be on a tripod, because otherwise you're going to get this. The thing is that if it keeps moving also, and I've watched other people do this, is that as the light shifts, the camera adjusts, the phone adjusts, and then suddenly people are backlit, and it doesn't look great. So what I saw, Lorenzo Lebricha did a talk about Facebook Live in church, and his suggestion was that you put somebody with a tripod with your cell phone mounted on it in the front row. And then they can just move the camera as they need to. If you've got a decent camera, decent phone, that's an option. So this is all stuff you're going to have to figure out. Is the sound going to be good enough? You might want to do a trial run, but remembering that if you do a trial run, the sound in a full church is not the same as an empty church. If we're going to carry on doing this afterwards, which I really want to do, because I think there's value in continuing with Facebook Live services for people. So you're going to have to play with it and figure out how you're doing it. If you're just doing morning prayer, use your cell phone, really. Prop it up on something, and we'll talk about that in a minute. If you have a tripod, even better. That's what I'm going to do tomorrow when Martha and I do our morning prayer. I have my tripod here, and I've got a fitting for my cell phone. I'm going to put it on there, and we're going to do with that. Questions? Okay, so now you've let everybody know you're doing this. Make sure you have decent Wi-Fi signal. And you cannot always depend on the fact that if you're using the actual cell phone signal rather than Wi-Fi, that it's going to be consistent. So you've got to be aware of that. The second broadcast I did, it was incredibly hot, and I wasn't going to go into the education building to do the Facebook Live there, so I did it from my porch, and I closed the door. The reason I closed the door is I have 2 cats. And in my first broadcast, I had a cat arrive in the middle of my broadcast, which is very endearing, but not terribly liturgical. So I closed the door, and just closing the door was enough to shut off enough Wi-Fi signal, and it died. And then I had people going, we've lost you, all these comments coming in, we've lost you, and I had to start it again. So be sure that you're in a place where you have a strong Wi-Fi signal. So that sounds dumb, but really. Mm-hmm. Then bear in mind what is behind you. None of you can be sitting where you're sitting now. You've actually got to stage what's behind you, because you are doing something that is liturgical. So the first time I did it, let's see if I can find these. Let's go back to find the pictures of the movies. Okay, so I'm going to share this quickly. Okay. So the very first time I did it in, good morning, everybody. I did that in a bedroom upstairs in my house. You can see how much weight I've lost. And particularly because I wanted my stained glass quilt behind me. And can you see that I put a Bible and a Book of Common Prayer and a candle? It wasn't a good place to do it. The signal was great, but can you hear how echoey it is? So I decided I wasn't going to do that. That was also was my first ever one. And that was the one the cat came in on. So that was my first learning. Test the sound out, do a recording for yourself and test the sound before. The second one I did, and this is the one I did on my porch, and I had to, I watched this. So what happened there, and I have no idea why they didn't warn me. I was doing this on the porch in the rectory, and I had my camera landscape. And Facebook didn't warn me that I couldn't do that until I pressed record. And then after I pressed go live, it said, no, you can't do it in that orientation. And suddenly I had to turn it around. You can edit your video afterwards. And so what I did was I got rid of most of the sort of topsy-turvy stuff. So just take it from me, record in portrait mode. That was the one I had to start again because I closed the door and I had no Wi-Fi. Well, at least the Wi-Fi wasn't strong enough. So the third one, I decided I'm actually going to go into the chapel. This was now this January when we got snowed out. And I went into the chapel, the St. Francis room at St. Luke's. And this was rather nice. Good morning, everybody. We're here at St. Luke's. And the reason why I'm looking around is that about 4 different parishioners turned up nonetheless. That, you know, they had 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, whatever, and they turned up. And so you'll see in that, I'm looking at the people in the room and drawing on them and conversing with them, which made it a whole lot more like a service. Now, I want you to have a look at the light there. Because not only do I have the lights on overhead, but what is out of the camera is over here and over there, I had 2 standing lamps on either side. So that you don't have shadows, you need to have at least 2 sources of light. If you just have the overhead light, you're going to, well, I'm going to show you some examples. I'm going to show you the screen. I'm going to stop this share, and now I'm going to share with you a different screen. This was taken from my meeting with my community this morning. Can you see the shadows on people? Here, Brother Donald, bless him, has the light behind the window, and you can hardly see his face. Mm-hmm. Brother Robert is sitting way back, so we can't see his face, and I think he's lit up by his computer screen only, so he's blue. And people have different levels of light. Brother Peter had a lamp over his head, so he looked as if he was an angel, or at least an icon or something. So you need to be aware of the light in your space and make sure that you have light from both sides, because if you're being, well, we'll get to what instrument you use for recording in a minute, but if you are using a cell phone, you need to, whatever you're using, you need to have enough light. Okay, like for example, Jack, you can see yourself. Can you see that's not enough light? You're a bit muted, my friend. I can't hear you. And Kevin, you've got light from above. So you need to have some light. Martha, you're backlit. Kate, your light is okay. Linda, you're backlit. So it's choose a place where you are so that you can make sure you get enough light. Sorry, okay, Jack's gone. The other thing I want to say is if whatever you're using, cell phone or laptop, cell phone is better, in my honest opinion, unless you have a separate camera, because look at the quality of the light of the lenses on the cameras. Can you see how some are very clear and some are fuzzy as anything? So in my experience, most laptop cameras are pretty bad. So that's why I would encourage you to think about using a cell phone. Then my dear friend, Brother David, has his laptop at an angle where you can see right up his nostrils. So make sure that your camera is up so it's looking at your face on, because you don't want people to be able to look up your nostrils. So I shared that only to be able to show you that you need to think about all of this before you begin, before you plan. Okay. So the equipment you'll need is either a tablet or a laptop or a phone and a tripod, or something stable you can prop your phone up with so that it's not going to fall over halfway through. You've let people know, you've made sure your Wi-Fi connection is solid, and then you're going to go live. So we looked at this earlier. Now, Kate, it'll be interesting to see what yours looks like. I have a feeling yours is under publish or something, but let's just look at what I have here. So you're going to go live. You click on live and it accesses my camera. Now, it is not accessing my camera at the moment because my camera is being co-opted by Zoom. All right. But you have to take it. I did not know it was going to do this. You'll have to take it from me on trust that your face will come up here. And that will also give you a sense. It's like a trial. You're not live yet. It'll give you a sense of what you look like. So you can try this an hour or half an hour beforehand, make sure the light is enough, make sure that you're sitting in a good place that looks liturgical, and just to get a sense of what you have. At the end of that, I'm just thinking, I'm going to try and do this on my phone and show you. So let's just go here, and I'm going to St. Luke's page, and I am going to go now you see it's different on this one as well. I'm finding it on my phone. Okay, so I'm clicking post. All right, so on my phone, can you see that at all? Okay, so I click post, right? And then, hold on, it's got to focus. That again. So I go live. And then it asks me on my phone, allow Facebook to take pictures, and I've allowed it. And then, so what it does is it shows me what I'm looking at, plus some. I would not recommend the filters. I don't think that would look particularly liturgical. And then once you're happy with what you've got, all you do is hit go live at the bottom. It says start live video. So it's as simple as that. Post, go live, and then when you're happy with what's on the picture, you hit go live video. At the end, do yourself a favor, please make sure that you have actually ended the broadcast before you carry on. You don't really want to say, oh, well, that was hard or whatever, and embarrass yourself. It will then save that to your Facebook page. If you want to edit the length of it slightly, or maybe there was something at the end you didn't like, but maybe you did say to your husband, I didn't enjoy that, you can edit it on your on Facebook on your computer. You can make it shorter and edit it. That's what I did when I suddenly did that orientation shift. I would leave it there unless it really was your first one was a disaster, because sometimes they are, and it's okay because that way you learn. But people will watch it for a long time afterwards. It's as simple as that, really. Most of your work is actually going to be beforehand. Now, I have already, oh, I want to show you something. One of the things that I do, and I remember I said you make it possible for people to know what's going on beforehand. And one of the things I do is I have everything up on the St. Luke's website as well. So I point people to the St. Luke's website on the Facebook post and in the emails. And when you go here to worship, there's a link there for live streaming services. Also, if you scroll down below, see here, coronavirus, March services cancelled. And then you can go click here, and it takes you to a page that I made specifically for Facebook Live broadcasts. And in case you can't read it, it says, when unusual circumstances or inclement weather prevent our gathering for the Sunday service, St. Luke's will hold a live stream service on Facebook at this link. And that link takes us to the Facebook page. So it's right there. The service for morning prayer can be downloaded here. And what I've done is my slightly simplified, slightly more ecumenical version of morning prayer, which is just, isn't any different other than I've removed the canticles between the readings and chosen all the choices beforehand. If they click on that link there, it gives them a PDF and gives them the option to download it. Then the readings and collect for the day can be downloaded from the Episcopal Lectionary website here. And there it is. So I've really made it as easy as possible. And then I've said, once you've opened up the lectionary website page for the relevant readings, click on download this page as a Word document. And so when I send my message out to people, I suggest that they do that ahead of time. Then they can print it, and then they can join in and go along with you because they've actually got the liturgy and they've got the readings with them. So yeah, that's what we're doing. And it will get better and better because it gets better every time I do it. So it's a process. Thoughts?
I'll just ask a question, since you and I will be doing this together.
Yeah.
The examples you've shown us had one speaker with the camera just pointed at you. What are you envisioning for tomorrow with the two of us there?
I have actually done different things with two speakers. You just move the camera back slightly.
So we'll both be in the same frame.
People. Yeah, we'll be both be in the same frame. And the same thing, if you are having two people, then I would just move the camera back slightly. Now, I do not understand why Facebook does not allow you to broadcast in landscape, because it would make it easier if you had two people.
Right.
I mean, yeah, it's something I don't understand, and maybe I'll be able to find out whether there's a setting you can set up beforehand or something. We've got a webcam, so we'll be fine, Martha.
Good. Sounds good. Thank you.
Other thoughts?
Ingrid?
Yes.
Could you tell us how you make those links to the lectionary page? Can you tell us how to make those links to the lectionary page?
Yes, it's very easy. Okay, so you've edited your website before, Jack?
A little bit on it's through the diocese. We have our
yes. Okay. So is the diocese doing all of your?
No, we do it ourselves, but like once a year.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a whole discussion for a whole another webinar. Okay, I'm going to show you quickly because it's really not that hard. So you've got to log in. You've got your login credentials, right? So you're going to go all the way down to the bottom and you're going to log in a web administrator login, right?
Yes, right.
Okay, so I think I should probably share that page with you. Okay, so now I'm going to put in my email because it comes to me, and I'm going to put in the password and I'm going to log in. Aha, you see, it is guaranteed that when you are doing something and it's being recorded, you're going to get the password wrong as you enter it. Right, so then you're going to go manage at the hub.
Right.
If you are unsure about how to do this, there are tutorials, Jack, to teach you how to do all of this. And that's what I did. I read a lot, I watched a lot of the tutorials. So you've logged in, you're going to manage it at the hub. Okay, so I'm going to show you on that page. So you're familiar with this, you've done all of this.
Yes.
Your files and everything are the recent page. Well, I edited this yesterday, so it's up at the top. So let's go there. Okay, so there is our page. Now, if I want to link a piece of text like this, let's just say I'm going to say service, and I'm going to link that. So I've highlighted that. I'm going to go up to this little chain link icon here. It says insert or edit link, right? Can you see that?
Okay, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to click on that. Now, in the meantime, I
Okay,
will have gone elsewhere to find out the page that I wanted to
link it to, yeah.
link it to. So let's just, for the sake of, let's go. I'm going to link it to the Instructed Episcopal Eucharist service, which is, by the way, a very cool thing with How to Eucharist. If you haven't seen that, I would recommend that you go there. So I've now copied that link, right? I go back to my digital faith thing. I go back to that little window that popped up, and I'm going to paste that link, right?
Okay,
And the text to display is the one that I highlighted, which says service. And I don't ever bother with a title. Now, target means, is it going to open instead of the window you have there now, or a new window? I prefer having a new window because then they can go back to the previous tab, right? So I go new window,
right.
and I click OK. Right, now then I'm going to click update page. That's updated. Now let's go to the St. Luke's website. We're going to go to live streaming services. And oh, I didn't make it bold, but can you see now it's blue and it's linked? I don't know if you can see it that far. Let's see if I can make this a bit bigger for you. Okay, so in fact, let's go back here. And I'm going to make this bold. I just made it bold to make it easier for people to see. Okay, right, I'm updating it. And I go back here, and now I've got to refresh it. Right, if you click on this, it takes you to the How to Eucharist website. That's how I made the links.
Okay, thank you.
And if that has gone very fast, which it has somewhat, then you can either contact me or watch the tutorials, which is
Right.
what
Yeah, I need to do that.
So I'm going to just delete that, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to update that because I don't want to have suddenly have something arbitrary, and then I'm going to log out. Okay, so that's how you did that. And I try to go ahead of people and make it as easy as possible so that they don't have to go looking for anything. So in fact, if you have a look at the St. Luke's website, I've got what they call redundancy. I have, not only is it in the drop-down thing, live streaming services, but it is also here in a big notice about the March services being cancelled, and at the bottom, this is always here, 5 Facebook Live services, and it's there. So I'm hoping that I have covered every possible opportunity. Having said that, somebody, and Linda's shaking her head, somebody's going to arrive on Sunday at 9 o'clock. There will be a big poster on the door that says, this is what we're doing. And if 4 of them arrive, that's no real threat. I'll direct them to go and join me in the education building because I don't want to turn anyone away. So then they can come and be part of the service, and I'll just bring some of the printouts of the service for them. So I hope that's helpful.
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Questions? No, it's a pleasure. Martha, I know you knew a lot of this.
Oh, it's good to hear the explanation, though. It's very helpful. I'm glad I could tune in.
Yeah, none of this is rocket science, really. I just figured it out on my own. If I can figure it out, anyone can figure it out.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's very helpful.
Yeah,
Perfect.
it's a pleasure. Yeah, and Shant, if I can help you with anything else.
So let me ask another question, because I asked this of somebody else before. That can I do with different devices, Facebook Live as well as Zoom?
Explain what you mean, Kate. Do you mean
that
at the same
I would
time?
do that I would have it that I would be going on Zoom as well as Facebook Live?
Oh, can't imagine why not. I honestly haven't ever done that.
But
But
with it would take two different devices.
Right,
would
that's
take-
what I
absolutely
was going to
take
say.
two
You couldn't
separate
do them both
devices.
with the same camera.
And bearing in mind that picture is very data intensive, so you might find it affects your broadband strength. So you might have some lagging. Explain to me why you would want to do both. Are you thinking of covering both options?
Well, it was just a question that I had. I don't know that I want to do both. I know that not all my folks are on Facebook. What I want to do is to encourage them to be on Facebook, because I mean, you know, we have our Facebook page and everything else.
Yeah.
And I know one of the things I told people in my classes who didn't want to be on Facebook, but I was creating a group for, and Kevin, you may have been in class with me at that point, or Martha. You can create a Facebook page and it can be completely private. You don't.
Oh yes, yeah, totally.
You know, that usually is people's anxiety around it. I just want it to be as accessible as possible.
So how about, Kate, if you had two devices, now bearing in mind that maybe it would be your and Bill's cell phones, and you record with one, which is right next to the Facebook Live one, and you do Facebook Live with the other so that they aren't different, and then you upload that recording up to your parish YouTube channel. That way you wouldn't be streaming both at the same time.
Right.
Maybe you can try and it isn't a problem.
I don't know. I thought I would do a few little things this week to experiment before I jumped into it on Sunday.
I think that's very wise, and I would encourage everybody to do that and just experiment ahead of time, because there are always complications that you don't expect.
Right. And every setting's different.
Yes.
You know, every church is different. The technology may be different. The internet connectivity may be different, and the receptivity of your parishioners will be different. So I just had 2 seminary classes that are now going to be moving completely online. And the first one, I had to show the faculty how to use Zoom. And the second one, the Zoom cut out because she forgot to bring her charger for the laptop. So it wasn't on for 3 hours. So there's clearly some bugs in the system. And I think, you know, this is an opportunity to just be humble and say, we're figuring this out and we need to figure it out together.
Well, what I'm wanting to do particularly is to use Zoom. I'm going to create an account this afternoon, my own account at this point. But I want to use Zoom so that we can continue to have meetings. I have somebody who is insisting on having a finance committee meeting tomorrow. Since we're not having church, we'll just do it at 10:30.
Right. No, I don't think so.
What did you not understand about social distancing?
Yeah, exactly. But they have agreed to do it this way on Zoom, and I'm comfortable. I've used Zoom a lot.
Right.
And I really do like it.
Yes.
I know that it's accessible.
It is accessible and it doesn't drop signal. Remember Skype?
Oh,
and Skype would pixelate and drop you, and Zoom is the biz.
It's so much better.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't have the Zoom app on your computer or your phone, do you have to download that first?
Yes. There's
for so long now.
Yes. Not if you're joining a channel. If somebody's
that's my question.
To open the link,
you download anything, but if you are sending out, then you do.
Yes.
That and I have it on mine. That was the question for the others who are joining it. Are they going to need a Zoom?
They just need the link, Kate. They just,
need the link.
And then
Got it.
There's a quick browser plugin that gets automatically attached, so they can then open the link and be on your meeting.
Yeah.
But it's not really a software download. They're not running the app itself. It's just a browser compatibility plugin, because whether they're coming on through Safari or Bing or Mozilla or Chrome, Zoom has to figure that out to make sure that they have an optimal viewing experience.
Yes.
Great.
And as a matter of interest, some of the brothers in my Franciscan community struggle with sound It seems to be something that happens with some computers. So there is an option in that link that you can dial in for sound as well. So some of them
Yes,
watch on their computers, but they listen on their phones as well. That's never happened to me, but it seems to be an option.
I've seen that. It's happened in some of the classes.
Yeah.
And people have come in, and some meetings that you see their face here and then their phone is down here. Oh,
Yes.
Right, because
Yeah.
they're talking through their phone. Yeah,
Yeah.
not
I know.
everybody has the sufficient bandwidth to run both audio and video through the
Is that what
internet.
it is? Okay, Martha,
It's a
that makes sense.
bandwidth issue. And the only caution I would have is to make sure, as you're hosting a Zoom, just like Ingrid did, we all came on and we were muted upon entry.
Yes.
And that's going to be particularly important for a broadcast of a service. You'll want to make sure that nobody's chit-chatting in the background
Yeah.
with their mic
Mhm.
open. And
Right.
you can set that automatically as the host, that you would
Yes.
automatically mute everyone.
So when you
Right.
start setting up a Zoom session, it asks you all these questions and obviously time, and that is kind of obvious. Then you can say, can people join before the host joins, which I said yes in this case. Then you can, as Martha says, allow them to have camera on when they join, but mute them on joining. And I would
Right.
strongly recommend that, because sometimes people just don't understand how to mute
Mhm.
themselves. And you're having a serious conversation and their dog or their kids are making noise in the background, all this feedback, which is particularly distressing. So mute them ahead of time. And then on that, you have the option to record, as I am doing now.
Yes.
And you can record onto your own computer or onto the cloud. And I've done the cloud so that I can share this link with other people afterwards.
Right.
So no, it really is an awesome tool.